name is Madeline Berner, and this is my persuasive speech. So think with me. You're 12 years old, sitting in front of your TV on your parents' bed, staring forward as you watch the figures from your mother's television show pass on the screen. You look at them, then you look down at yourself. Now stay with me. You get up and walk towards your bedroom, passing a stack of magazines on your way. Supermodels are just typical. Staring down in the mirror, you look at yourself with disappointment and anger. No young person should ever have to experience this, and yet so many are. Today, the media has created an idea of the perfect body, which is a combination of camera angles, clothing, editing, and Photoshop. Photoshop, which originally was a simple computer program, has now turned into a resource to manipulate and edit images. The media blasts these photos, praising the impossible physique of the model, which results in millions of young people feeling insecure in their own bodies. What starts out as a small insecurity quickly turns into eating disorders, depression, suicidal thoughts, and the issue only continues to worsen. Photoshop should not be okay to use because it causes body image issues, changes society's views on reality, and is abused by the media. That is why it's highly important that people not only get educated about the effects of Photoshop, but share them, starting with you. First of all, I believe the use of Photoshop is not okay because it causes body image issues. The issue of a negative self-image has long been something millions of people struggle with, but since the widespread use of Photoshop, especially in social media, this issue has rapidly worsened. Photoshop allows someone to digitally manipulate images by retouching and reshaping, smoothing blemishes, cropping, and lots more. One of the areas where we see Photoshop used the most is to reshape women's bodies, to accentuate features, and in general make the model look closer to society's standards of what a beautiful woman should be. Young girls on social media are constantly seeing these enhanced photos and comparing themselves to the images, and not having the perfect body or features everyone praises causes insecurities and self-hatred towards their body. The use of Photoshop, especially in social media, also changes society's views on reality. Anyone can alter a picture to show exactly what they want, and alternatively, what they don't. For example, in a magazine, almost every photo is digitally enhanced. When a young person sees these images and compares themselves to a so-called perfect model, they get a false sense of what a person should look like and what they should look like. Already, magazines are staged using makeup crews, artificial sets, artificial lighting, and nowadays, the use of Photoshop to change the features of a model is added to that list. All of these alterations alter reality, and when millions of people see these images in a magazine, it affects how they perceive themselves. Seeing and comparing oneself to a person in a magazine creates the issues I previously mentioned, including eating disorders, mental illness, depression, and more. In an article by the Washington Post, Canadian Erin Treelor spoke about dealing with a major eating disorder in her teen years, credited to the impact of seeing Photoshop models online. She says her eating disorder was largely perpetuated by the media's definition of beauty, and she said having a perfectionist nature and seeing what the media defined as perfect and beautiful, she wanted to achieve that. Like Treelor, thousands of people wish to achieve the perfect body they see throughout social media daily, which we know is impossible simply because it's not real. Photoshop is changing what people think of themselves and others, and ultimately corrupting their view about reality. Lastly, I believe the use of Photoshop is ultimately not okay because the media abuses it. The program is used now more than ever before and seen constantly in all forms of social media. Photoshop is used in photos on the social media pages of A-list celebrities, magazines, advertisements, and generally pictures seen by millions of people every day. One of the areas we continue to see increases in the use of Photoshop is advertising. A study by Penn State found that advertisements on women being perfect heavily influences adolescents, saying that by the time they're 17, these girls have seen 250,000 TV commercials telling them that they should be a decorative object, sex object, or a size they can never achieve. As well as Photoshop being used to edit pictures, it is also being used to change pictures, which opens a new set of problems. Even by simply cropping an image in a certain way, the meaning of the photo can be changed and manipulated. This is explained in an article by the Washington Post when they explain that based on the crop of an image, the meaning behind it changes. They examined a picture of 2 U.S. soldiers in Iraq in 2003. One of them is giving an Iraqi soldier water from a canteen. The other is holding a gun to the soldier's head. Depending on the crop of the photo, the U.S. soldiers could either be portrayed as helpers or the aggressors. This is just one example, but displays just how a story or image can be manipulated based on the point of view, which is decided by the one editing the photo and can easily be changed. The media abuses the use of Photoshop so heavily that it causes countless problems and complications, and ultimately is not okay to be used. Though some may argue that the issue of comparing people has long been around before the use of Photoshop, it definitely doesn't help. Yes, humans have been comparing themselves to each other for a long time, but no, that still doesn't make it okay. In an article by The Cut reviewing an interview of Adam Galinsky and Maurice Schweitzer, it says, in their book, Galinsky and Schweitzer argue that social comparison is an innate human tendency, and whether it is the wisest move or not, it's a big part of the way we determine our own level of happiness. They argue that social comparison is inevitable and people should learn to use it to their advantage. And while this is true and some level of comparison is inevitable, I believe we as a society should do what we can to reduce the negative impacts it has. What Galinsky and Schweitzer are not considering is the severity these comparisons have on people and the impacts that they believe should be left alone because it is inevitable. One example of this is the suicide rates increasing because of the mental health issues caused by social media and social comparison. The University of Pittsburgh School of Medicine noted that in groups aged 10 through 24, suicide rates coincided with rising rates of social media use. And they said other study results suggested that social media use among teens is linked to low self-esteem, poor body image, and risk-taking behaviors. Moreover, social comparison and cyberbullying have been associated with depression, anxiety, and suicidal ideation among adolescents. As you can see, though some people may believe the issue is not that deep or important, it most certainly is. And whether you believe Photoshop has affected you or not, it is affecting millions of people around you every day, and simply ignoring the issue will not make it go away. There are still people who believe that the use of Photoshop is not an issue, but I hope that you can see it very much is, from causing negative body issues to eating disorders to depression and anxiety to suicide, and this issue is beyond important and needs your help and attention. The use of Photoshop and social media has turned into a negative space for judging others, which is why we so desperately need a change. It causes body image issues, changes society's views on reality, and is abused by the media. The abolition of Photoshop will bring people together and allow everybody to feel comfortable with who they are, which is ultimately the goal and the key to happiness. This is important to me and should be important to you, too, whether you struggle or not. Some struggle in public and some keep to themselves, but regardless, everyone should take part in making the world a better and more accepting place. With little steps at a time, we can get there, beginning with the abolition of Photoshop. To all the people out there who are struggling with body image issues or something related to it, know that more and more people are bonding together to fight against the effects of Photoshop. From celebrities to people in positions of power to regular citizens like you and me, everyone can help fight for the abolition of Photoshop. I'm calling you to research the effects of the computer program for yourself and then spread that information to anyone willing to listen. Join the movement to ban Photoshop online and physically. Join the movement to spread actual reality, and join the movement to make our world a better place. Thank you.